You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Welcome back. You are on air with Chris Shanafelt, and it is a pleasure to welcome back onto the show Lester Wiltfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com. As always, you can follow him on Twitter at Wiltfong Jr. Lester, really do appreciate you taking some time to chat. Hope all is well. Let's get right into it, man. Anybody that knows you, knows your work, follows you on Twitter, knows that you are the man when it comes to offensive line play. So I have to ask, it's one of the top discussions on Twitter, or as people would say, Bears Twitter, and I want to get your opinion on it. How worried, if at all, are you about Cody Whitehair and the snap exchange problems that he's had so far this preseason and training camp? And would it be wise to move Whitehair to guard and insert rookie second-round pick James Daniels at center?
I think it's something they have to consider, even though the Bears seem really adamant on keeping it like it is right now with the center at Whitehair, and then left guard looks like it's going to be Eric Kush. But they did say James Daniels in the mix for left guard spot. For me, I just want the best five to play, and if it's guard, it's center, wherever it may be, it really doesn't matter to me as long as they have the best five in play. And I think James Daniels is part of that best five. I mean, he was drafted to be a part of this line moving forward. I know he's only 20, but I think he showed that he's okay to play at this level in the preseason. His stuff in camp has been pretty good as well. But the staffing issues you mentioned, last week in Denver there were a lot of issues with the exchange from the bad snaps from the shotgun with the exchange as well. So I think at some point it's going to hurt the offense. It's a timing based offense. The snap has to get back there on time every time. James Daniels has played center, the last 3 years at Iowa. That's what he is. He's a center. With Cody Whitehair, he has played left guard at Kansas State. He came to the Bears and he was supposed to be a left guard. So he was moved to center in the last minute. And his first year at center, really good. Last year he had some issues. In camp so far he's had some issues. So if it's in his head now, I think you have to make the change. But like I said, as long as the best five play, I'm okay with it. But if those snapping issues are going to continue, the Bears have to have the guts to make a change.
Well, yeah, and obviously the Bears, they do have highly regarded offensive line coach Harry Hiestand in charge of the offensive line. And, again, as long as they have the best five out there, which you got to think Harry Hiestand will indeed do, then they should be in good shape for Week 1 against Green Bay Sunday night. This Saturday, though, at noon, the Bears host the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to feel like a college football Saturday, a little different field there at Soldier Field. This is looked at around the league as a dress rehearsal game. Starters should play the entire first half, maybe even a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit into the third quarter. Lester, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking out for in this game? I mean, what do you want to see out of the starters on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball this weekend?
We're not going to see much in terms of scheme or game planning. I mean, they will do a little bit, but we're not going to see a lot of stuff from the offense because they're going to keep all that in their pocket for the Packer game. I'm looking for just some more consistency overall. I'm looking for some of the stars like Gabriel, Burton Robinson to make some plays on offense. I'm looking for Jordan Howard and Cohen to get going a little bit in the run game. And on defense, it's all about just being smart with their gaps. And not giving up the big play on defense. Just playmakers making some plays. That's what preseason is for. And then of course they got to get out of there healthy. But in Cynic, I would like to see the offensive line a little bit. I want to see if they are going to give James Daniels some reps to the first team, because if that is truly the plan and he is truly in the mix for the left guard spot, then let's get him out there and in the first quarter and the second quarter, at the time where you can see how he works with Whitehair next to him, if that's the plan moving forward.
And it would be ideal to see that this game because obviously next week, or technically week 5 for the Bears, but week 4 across the league. I mean, you don't see any starters that week. It's mainly late round rookies and guys fighting for roster spots at that point. So it'll be ideal if we do get a chance to see James Daniels work with that first team offense at some point Saturday against Kansas City.
He has to at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Now, you mentioned it a little bit right there, Lester. I mean, the weapons Mitchell Trubisky has to throw to this season compared to last season is really night and day. You mentioned Trey Burton, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, and it doesn't stop there. Out of all the new offensive weapons, who has impressed you the most so far up to this point in the preseason and training camp?
Well, it's going to be a tight end based offense. So you have to look at Trey Burton as a guy. He fits what they want to do on offense. He's going to be the Travis Kelce role as the U tight end. He's not the same kind of player as Kelce is, but he brings some of those skills in the passing game. So that's what you want to see out of Trey Burton. But honestly, on offense, out of the receivers, I'm most excited for the rookie with Miller. I mean, he has great hands. He can play outside. He can play in the slot. And I think he's going to be a star eventually. His reps may be a little down at first because the Bears are loaded there at the position. But, I can't wait to see how they incorporate all these new weapons into the offense moving forward.
Yeah, and I have Anthony Miller's name written down right here. I mean, he's coming in with some high expectations, seeing as the Bears traded back up into the second round of the 2018 NFL Draft to go up and get him. And as of now, I mean, he's certainly exceeded my expectations, especially for a rookie. I think he's exceeded the fan base's expectations. He's really exploded onto the scene. In my opinion, the best route runner already on the Chicago Bears. Is it too far-fetched to think? I mean, maybe I'm just drinking a little bit too much of the Anthony Miller Kool-Aid, Lester, but is it too far-fetched to say that by mid-season, maybe by the end of the season, Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver on the Chicago Bears?
It's certainly possible. That's something that could happen. But you got to look at the talent around them. They have a legit top line receiver in Allen Robinson. So that's a guy he has to overcome there. So I think he may be the best receiver on the roster right now, as long as he's healthy, and it looks like he is healthy. But in camp, you mentioned the stuff they've been doing with Anthony Miller. He has been the star of training camp so far. He has been the best receiver in camp so far. So if that continues into the season, he could be the top guy by the end of the year.
We're chatting with Lester Wiltfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com. Follow him on Twitter at Wiltfong Jr. And Lester, I can't believe it's taken this long for me to bring up first-round pick linebacker Roquan Smith. He's finally under contract, and unfortunately earlier this week he suffered a hamstring injury. He was back in pads yesterday, but by the sounds of it, he wasn't doing too much in yesterday's practice at Vernon Hills High School. I believe he was not participating in the 11-on-11s, and Matt Nagy said that Smith's chances of playing Saturday against the Chiefs have decreased, that it is safe to say that the chances of that happening have decreased. If Roquan doesn't play Saturday, is there a good chance that he's not starting alongside Danny Trevathan against Green Bay September 9th?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think they want to see him play a little bit. He's going to start at some point. It's just ain't going to happen if he doesn't get any practice time at all. So I'm not too concerned. I mean, the coach said it was an injury where he could have practiced. It was the real season. So I think it's just an issue where they want to be really cautious with that. It's a hamstring. They want to make sure he's going to be full go by the Packer game, because he is going to get some rest that game. Whether he starts or not, he is going to be on the field. So I think that's the key. That's the target date for all these guys that are injured right now, is the Packer game week 1.
I think a lot of people have kind of been caught off guard with the performance of Nick Kwiatkowski, the third-year linebacker out of West Virginia. He's another one of these guys that have stepped up. Obviously, seeing the Bears draft Roquan Smith, he knew right away that chances are he's not going to be starting. Well, Roquan Smith starts this holdout and he gets reps with the ones. Now there seems to be not many out there, but there are some out there that believe, hey, maybe Nick Kwiatkowski should deserve to start this season. Is there any chance that if Roquan Smith is healthy, that he's not starting alongside Trevathan on that defense?
No, I mean, I like what the Bears have at the position, but Roquan Smith is clearly the best guy right there. I mean, at some point, his skill level is much higher than Danny Trevathan's as well. So Roquan Smith is the guy if he's healthy and if he's everything's okay. I like Kwiatkowski, but come on. I mean, he's not the same type of player. He's good. I mean, he's a good backup. There was some talk earlier in the preseason about having to play some stuff with like Christian Jones did last year, both inside and outside. That has not happened yet. Maybe once everyone's healthy, we are going to see a little bit of that as well. But for now, it's going to be Kwiatkowski and Trevathan, but eventually it's going to be Roquan Smith's job.
Well, Lester, let's focus on the elephant in the room, and that's the Bears' pass rush. I mean, it certainly takes a little bit of a hit with Leonard Floyd breaking a couple of fingers against the Broncos last week. It doesn't sound like that'll keep him out for the season opener. But what about opposite side of Floyd. I mean, Isaiah Irving has shown some flashes. Aaron Lynch, he's been out all summer, still out to this day. Rookie 6th-round pick Kylie Fitz seemed to have kind of disappeared really after the Hall of Fame game against Baltimore. I mean, as of right now, this seems to be one of the biggest problems for the Bears. I mean, would you say so? Am I kind of making too much out of that, or do you have similar concerns with the Bears' pass rush?
No, I mean, right now it's Floyd who's hurt. It's Sam Acho is the other guy who's been a backup most of his career. Who I like Sam Acho. I'm just not sure that's the guy you want out there, getting after the quarterback on third down. Then you have, you mentioned Fitz, who's been a disappointment. Irving's been a disappointment. They have Kasim Edebali, who has looked pretty good in preseason, but he's a guy that's a backup as well. So, who's the guy opposite Floyd right now? I don't think there is one.
Well, that brings me to bring up the hot name on the streets, Lester, and
I knew it was coming. Yeah,
Khalil Mack. I mean, I think Las Vegas has odds out there, and the Bears are second to the Packers with the best odds to land Khalil Mack. I mean, what is too much to give up to land this possible future Hall of Fame type pass rusher? I mean, is there a limit where you'd say, you know what, all right, this is too much. I can't give this up for Khalil Mack?
I don't think there is. I mean, he's 27. He's in his prime. He has he's going to get paid after this season, so he has one more big contract in him, which he should still be really good for. And he is a game changer. I mean, you have to get him no matter what it takes. I know there was a report yesterday where the Jets were interested, and then today I think there are 3 more teams that have been reported to be interested in him. You mentioned Vegas, and Vegas is pretty dialed in when it comes to stuff in the NFL. If they have the Bears as a favorite to get him, you got to think where there's smoke, there's fire. So you cannot let the Packers get him. That's the most important thing. If the Packers get him, I mean, that's just a big sale by Ryan Pace. So I think the bidding's going to start at 2-1 at least for Khalil Mack.
I certainly agree with you there, and it could possibly escalate from there. We'll see what happens with Khalil Mack. A few more questions with Lester Wiltfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Wiltfong Jr. And Roy Robertson-Harris, he certainly know Khalil Mack, but he's really been a guy that stepped up this preseason, 3.5 sacks in 3 games, and really preseason you couldn't care less about the wins and losses. It's mainly about individual performances, and Roy Robertson-Harris has been one of the guys, one of the bright spots for the Bears, I think, so far up to this point. Looking at his story, coming as an undrafted free agent, I believe there's a couple of different teams that were looking to sign him coming out of college. He comes to the Bears, and he kind of works his way up. And now, obviously, the main focus on the defense will be Hicks, will be Eddie Goldman, Leonard Floyd. But it certainly looks like, Lester, that Roy Robertson-Harris is going to have an impact on this defense this season, wouldn't you say?
He seems to have won the job opposite Hicks. It was between him and Jonathan Bullard. I think Bullard's been okay, but you mentioned Harris's sacks. I think that's really stood out for him. I think he's going to bring a little bit of something different because he's a bit quicker than Hicks. But he's still a really big, powerful guy. He's 6'7", 295. I mean, this is a really big guy, and he plays with good low pad level as well. So he'll still be able to do the bull rush on occasion. So he has a real nice skill set, and I think he's going to be the starter opposite Hicks in the first game against the Packers.
And looking at the defensive backfield, Lester, the depth at safety has kind of taken a hit here with the news yesterday that DeAndre Houston-Carson broke his arm. He'll miss some time in the regular season. And, of course, earlier in the week, DeAndre Hall being suspended for the first game of the season due to a violation of the NFL's substance abuse policy. Do you see them adding a defensive back here, or are they going to kind of roll with what they got heading into this third preseason game?
I think it's possible. I mean, the Bears are going to go in the week 1 with 4 safeties. You have the starters, Jackson and Amos, and then you have Bush, who the Bears are really high on this year. So that's going to be your first guy off the bench. And then I think it is going to be Hall, just right now, because that's who they have. And if they have to go into the first week without him, and you only have 3, I think that's what they're going to do. But I think they will look over the wire, once teams make their cuts, because you have to do that at this point in the year. You have to look for a defensive backfield possibly, and also hopefully some help at pass rush if they don't get the Khalil Mack trade done, which probably it's not going to happen. But just in case, it's a small chance. It's out there.
Yeah, that teams are really trimming down their rosters. They're up to 90 guys on the roster now. They got to get down to 53, so there are going to be a lot of players at a lot of different positions on the wire, and you got to think that there's a good chance that maybe they do add a pass rusher that maybe another team gives up on or is just loaded with depth, such as the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if there's a guy over there that maybe they really like but just can't afford the roster spot for him, so they release him in hopes to land him on their practice squad. Maybe that's kind of a player that the Bears snatch up, and from there, who knows what can happen. We'll leave you with this, Lester. Really appreciate your time. Which undrafted rookie do you think has a shot at making the roster? I know there's been some buzz on defensive backs, Michael Joseph and Kevin Tolliver. Obviously, the defensive backfield is probably one of the strong suits for the Bears. And then, of course, Ryan Nall on the offensive side of the ball, the running back out of Oregon State, battling with Taquan Mizell there for one of those last running back spots. Any chance one of these guys cracks the active roster come September 9th?
I think if it's going to be one of them, it'll be Kevin Tolliver probably. I mean, he didn't have the best of games, against the Broncos, but he's a really physical player. He does have some upside there. He has some skills. I would have said Nall earlier, but this last game it was mostly the Taquan Mizell show in the second half. There wasn't a lot of Nall. I'm not sure if we're going to see the best of Ryan Nall until they figure out a way to kind of use him as kind of that fullback, tight end hybrid kind of guy. So I think they may try kind of put him on the practice squad at first, kind of get his role situated. But I think if anyone, it's going to be Tolliver.
Awesome. Well, hey, Lester, always appreciate your time. Keep up the great work again over at WindyCityGridiron.com and on Twitter at Wiltfong Jr. And look forward to chatting with you a lot more throughout the season, man. Take care.
Sounds good, Christian. Thanks so much. Bye.